Right now, Madisonians head to Library Mall for a demonstration over the Iran war. Plus, UW women's hockey face off against their rival Ohio State in the WCHA conference final. And students compete in a hands-on renewable energy competition. We take you to see the model wind turbines created by these young minds. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. We'll get to all those stories in just a second, but first, let's go ahead and get a look at your first one forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze?
Well, we are certainly cooler than where we were yesterday, as temperatures have now settled into the 30s and 40s after peaking in the 50s as we went midnight into the start of Saturday. It's also cloudy out there with those northwesterly winds, bringing down some of that cooler Canadian air. As expected, those temperatures were dropping throughout the day, and they'll continue to drop as we head overnight, but not by a whole lot. We're actually going to stay pretty mild this evening underneath partly cloudy to mostly clear conditions. A little less cloud cover across southeastern Wisconsin. We're looking at breezy conditions with temperatures, as I said, in the 30s. We should be in the low 20s, so it's going to be a pretty mild evening out there. And we're expecting those mild temperatures to stick around into Monday and Tuesday. But Jalen and folks at home, starting later Tuesday through Thursday, we've got rain, thunderstorms, a rain-snow mix and snow in the forecast. We're going to break down that big system expected to impact us in the full forecast.
All right, sounds good, Blaze. We'll see you then. And ahead of that, you can track the forecast on your First One weather app. It is hourly planners, road conditions, and even radar. You can download it for free in your phone's app store. Just search WISC Weather. A group in Madison met today for a rally in favor of the U.S.'s involvement in Iran. Our Maya Tate has more on the gathering.
Since January, a group has been meeting here at the Library Mall near the Memorial Union to protest the Islamic regime in Iran. When they originally started congregating earlier this year, their chants were aimed at bringing awareness and urging the United States to intervene in what was happening in Iran. Now, their tone has changed.
Thank you, USA! Support Iran, USA!
In the days since the United States has engaged in war with Iran, President Trump has made it clear that he will not make any deals with Iran and only wants complete surrender. While the Trump administration has faced some criticism for these efforts.
No one's putting us in danger. We're putting the other guys in danger. That's our job. So we're not concerned about that. We mitigate it as we need.
In Madison, some Iranians see the United States' involvement with Iran positively.
This is not a war. This is most like a rescue operation. A bit different this time because there's a realistic pathway for to arrive to the democracy.
Participants in the rally said that what people in Iran are dealing with is a dictatorship, and they think that democratic countries should help.
We both have same enemy, and we are here to fully support this operation.
At the end, if we have some democracy, if we have one less dictator in this world, the benefit is for all mankind.
Though some just want to make sure the country and its citizens are safe.
So we are supporting this historical operation as long as it is for Iranian people's freedom, as long as they do not hurt Iranian people. We hope that this operation is for our benefit, for our freedom. We want to see Iran free.
Organizers say that they will continue to meet weekly at Library Mall to bring awareness and support until the Islamic regime in Iran is over. Reporting in Madison, Maya Tate, News 3 Now.
Maya, thank you. And later on in the show, we'll have more on the dignified return of the soldiers who had passed away in Kuwait last week. And earlier this afternoon on Television Wisconsin, the UW women's hockey team had a chance to claim their third straight WCHA Final Face-Off Championship. Our Nash Dara shares more on the big game. Nash.
Hey, Jalen, it was a rematch of last year's national championship, the Badgers taking on Ohio State. Bucky was able to take 3 of 4 in the season series against the Buckeyes, but all of that was in the past today. Wisconsin looking for another trophy, which would be their 12th all-time Final Face-Off tournament win. After beating Minnesota State 7-2 on Thursday, Bucky looked to keep the momentum going in a huge matchup before the NCAA tournament. Jalen, later in sports, I will have full highlights and the results of this game in Minnesota to see if Wisconsin could bring home another trophy.
All right, looking forward to that one, Nash. We'll see you then. A recent bird flu outbreak at 3 egg farms in Jefferson and Walworth counties led to the euthanasia of millions of chickens. Nick Bohr has more.
Avian influenza, or bird flu, has been dealing a cruel hand to egg producers in Wisconsin and the chickens for 4 years now.
Fevers, decrease in feed intake, decrease in water intake, decrease in egg laying, but often this virus progresses rapidly enough in domestic poultry that some of the first signs are rapid death.
The Wisconsin State Veterinarian tells 12 News that in the past 8 days, 3 egg farms in Jefferson and Walworth counties have discovered avian influenza-infected chickens, requiring some 4.3 million to be euthanized. At least some of those 4 million chickens will wind up here. This is a site just north of Palmyra here in Jefferson County, where the carcasses are mixed with mulch to decompose, an attempt to mitigate the stench that in the past has drawn vocal objections from neighbors.
I describe it as like really bad cheddar broccoli soup.
Is it the only way to make sure that it doesn't spread from that site?
Yes, unfortunately, it is necessary to kill all the birds that are exposed to this virus. And in those cases of the last 2 detections, the birds are in close enough contact that they will eventually become sick and infected.
The risk of human transmission is low, but not impossible. But it's very rarely fatal. Still, the prevention has been a major challenge.
The birds are raised indoors. The farms do pay a lot of attention to biosecurity measures and protective equipment and establishing lines of separation. Unfortunately, sometimes with this virus, it can find a way in at some point.
And when it does, the consequences for the chickens and the farms raising them are dire.
Certainly something we'll continue to keep an eye on for our state. But if you live in Madison, you know it's been windy the past couple of days. But today it was windy inside too. Our Bella Farrick went to UW-Madison today just to see what the gust was all about. Bella?
Yeah, Jalen, at UW-Madison's Discovery Building on Saturday, the Wisconsin Kid Wind Challenge put child engineers front and center. Teams spent months building homemade wind turbines and finally got the chance to compete with their creations. The hands-on competition featured 22 teams of kids, elementary through high school, from all across Wisconsin, whose turbines were judged on just how much wind energy they could generate. Karina Dunn, a member of the Onalaska Ohms Kid Wind team, says the event means more than just building the best turbine.
So it's a really important step for our state to empower youth and really teach them how clean energy works, how the very mechanisms that create clean energy are built, and for them to have a hands-on approach to it.
Wind turbines release no greenhouse gases, making them a great clean energy source. And at KidWind, celebrations of sustainability reassure climate-conscious students that their future will be a breeze, with a little teamwork along the way. Top teams will advance to the 2026 World KidWind Challenge held in Madison this May. For more information, visit energy.wisc.edu and click on the Education tab.
All right, sounds good. I'm sure we'll have more on that coming up in May. But if you're a Pokemon fan, then you probably know that it turned 30 years old this month. And a local teenager is celebrating the 30 years of this wildly popular anime by catching all the most valuable Pokemon cards he can get his hands on.
I've owned every single booster box there is. I've owned majority of the cards out there. Never really gotten to the trophy side of stuff, but most like English cards and stuff like that I've been able to own and open up nearly every single pack of Pokemon cards that's ever come out.
And Ash hopes to continue to catch them all and spread his love for collecting and Pokemon. Coming up next on News 3 Now at 6, the dignified transfer of 6 members of the U.S. military is complete after being killed in Kuwait last week, the latest on the war in Iran. Plus, U.S. gas prices surged to the highest average since August of 2024. Why that is after the break.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Thank you for staying with us. Topping our national news, President Trump presided over the dignified transfer of 6 service members killed in Kuwait last weekend. This comes as the airstrikes against Iran continue, and the administration implores Iran to unconditionally surrender. CBS News' Nicole Killian has more.
President Trump presided over the dignified transfer of 6 service members killed in Kuwait last weekend. The families of the fallen soldiers, as well as the First Lady, Vice President, and Defense Secretary, joined him. The dignified transfer comes 1 week after the U.S. and Israel began their military campaign against Iran. It also comes hours after the president appeared before Caribbean and Latin American leaders at the Shield of the Americas summit in Florida, where he told attendees about the U.S.'s progress against Iran.
We've knocked out 42 Navy ships, some of them very large, in 3 days. That was the end of the Navy. We knocked out their Air Force. We knocked out their communications, and all telecommunications is gone.
Bombs continued to rain down upon Iran Saturday. Iranian officials have now put the death toll at more than 1,300 people. President Trump continues to call for Iran to unconditionally surrender.
CBS News has learned that Russia is helping Iran identify U.S. targets in the region, something Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was asked about in an interview with 60 Minutes, airing Sunday.
Does this put U.S. personnel in any more danger than they otherwise would be?
Well,
the Russian involvement.
No one's putting us in danger. We're putting the other guys in danger. That's our job. So we're not concerned about that. We mitigate it as we need to.
The U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran continue to be met with mixed global reactions, with demonstrations against the military campaign taking place throughout Europe and Asia. Protesters took to the streets in both London and in Pakistan on Saturday, questioning the military campaign. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Doral, Florida.
In remarks to Latin American leaders on Saturday, President Trump also noted that now that the U.S. has overseen a regime change in Venezuela, he is turning his attention to Cuba. And due to the war in Iran, the pain at the pump continues. According to AAA, the average price is $3.41 a gallon, which is the highest average since August of 2024. The average price has surged 43 cents in just the last week. That makes it the largest weekly increase since early March of 2022, which is when Russia invaded Ukraine. The rising cost is a result of the war in Iran, as well as the virtual closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Diesel prices are rising even faster. The average price has gone up 75 cents in just the last week to $4.51 a gallon. Topping our health news, the FDA's controversial vaccine chief will be leaving the agency next month. Dr. Vinay Prasad was appointed to lead the agency's Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research last May. This marks the second time Prasad will be leaving the agency. He briefly departed in July amid increasing pressure from the White House and its allies, who accused him of being politically aligned with liberals. He rejoined the FDA just weeks later. Over the course of his tenure, Prasad oversaw a series of controversial vaccine decisions, including a refusal to review a new flu vaccine that used mRNA technology. That is the same technology used in COVID-19 vaccines. The agency later accepted the application with adjustments. And coming up next on News 3 Now at 6, Blaze Keller returns with a complete look of your First One forecast. Let's go ahead and get a look at your First One forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze.
We are looking at a very interesting week next week. After a breezy night tonight and a breezy Sunday, we're going to warm into those 60s, 50s and 60s on Sunday. Plenty of sunshine that will lead our temperatures into the 70s by Monday. Some of us getting into the 70s for the first time this year. Will still remain warm on Tuesday. But Tuesday through Thursday, things are going to change. You can see the temperature change here as we go into next week, especially from next weekend onward. We may be hanging out in those low to mid 30s. But focusing on the more near term, low 60s on Sunday, upper 60s to low 70s on Tuesday. Our next system starts to get its act together on Tuesday, upper 50s to low 60s, and that's when we eventually start to cool on down from Wednesday onward. We're looking at this system to bring us not only rain and a few thunderstorms Tuesday into Tuesday night, but then that will transition over to a rain-snow mix and possibly just all snow by the time we head Wednesday night into Thursday, wrapping up Thursday night into Friday, as yet another system follows shortly behind this big one that is going to really bring about the changes in the sense of much cooler temperatures. So as we go throughout Monday, our atmosphere is going to be warming up. This is going to be really good for that next system to strengthen very quickly as it moves out of the plains into the Midwest. Much like Friday night's severe weather chance, we're going to be watching to see where this next low pressure system's warm front gets. If it can make its way into southern Wisconsin, we may squeeze out a severe thunderstorm or two. If it stays in northern Illinois, we'll likely only get what we call garden variety thunderstorms. This will continue to strengthen. You can see it's pulling down cooler air, so northern Wisconsin dealing with the snow, rain-snow mix as we're going into Wednesday. Rain once we get to about the Wisconsin-Illinois border south. Now the system has really strengthened, and it's going to be moving its way north and eastward. Winds are going to pick up, pulling down that cooler Canadian air, so we are going to watch any remaining rain turn over to a mix as we go Wednesday night into Thursday, and then that will continue to taper off as we go throughout Thursday. We briefly get a break, and then we welcome in another Clipper system that is going to warm our temperatures up just a little bit Thursday into Friday, and then it will reinforce the cooler air as we go into next weekend. It is way too early to talk snow totals, but this could potentially bring us a few inches of likely wet, heavy snow based on how much moisture this system is likely going to be pulling out of the south. What also looks to happen is some cooler air is going to be pulled down and sticking around parts of New England. We're kind of on the edge of that. So what I could likely see happening is as we go into the 15th through the 21st time frame, we pull in a little bit of that cooler air. Do we stay cooler than average from the 15th to the 21st? I don't think so. What I could see happening is maybe one or two, a couple of days here and there, we are just pulling down some slightly cooler air. We warm back up, we cool back down. Because we're right on the edge of what is likely going to be the placement of the jet stream, kind of cutting through the Midwest and then dipping into parts of the Carolinas. So we'll tap into a little bit of that cooler air, we'll warm back up, but I don't foresee us staying cooler than average for those, 6-7 days from the 15th through the 21st. But it is going to be a bit of an interesting week. I'm so glad that I have Monday off, and I feel bad for everybody else who doesn't, because 70s are going to be nice. Well, that's tough.
Both of y'all have Monday off, if I'm not mistaken.
Go golfing, Blaze?
I don't do that.
Okay.
Do I look like I golf? You can be honest.
I think so.
No.
Who's to say what somebody looks like who golfs?
Well, I did take a golfing lesson in high school, and I hit a bird. And that
birdie.
No.
Oh, you hit a bird.
Oh, like he actually.
You hit a bird.
Yeah. I think that takes more skill than actually like getting a birdie in golf.
The bird was fine, but I dropped out.
Bruised a rib on the bird or something.
I dropped out when I was at my peak.
All right, well, sounds good. Thank you, Blaze. Nash, what do we have coming up in sports?
Still ahead. Badger men's basketball had their final regular season matchup of the season against number 15 Purdue. Find out how they did on the road against the Boilermakers. That and a whole lot more next in sports.
And now, News 3 Now Sports, brought to you by TDS.
This upcoming week, sports director Andrew Banstra and I will be making the trip down to Chicago for the men's college basketball Big Ten tournament. But before we get excited for that just yet, the Badgers had a huge matchup out on the court in West Lafayette for their final regular season game of the year. And let me tell you now, this game would not disappoint. The Badgers would come out of the gate hot. Some good ball movement above the arc would lead to a John Blackwell three. Number 25 would match his jersey number, finishing with 25 points, leading the Badgers in this one. Fast forward to the half number 2. Bucky still finding a way to hang around in this one. The Aussie Austin Rapp finds a deep bucket, giving Wisconsin the lead. To crunch time we go. Nick Boyd with the ball, which is never a good thing for opposing teams. Watch this circus play with the shot clock expiring and a bit of a Hail Mary basket, but sometimes that's how you win games. Wisconsin is able to get the job done with a huge test on the road. Bucky wins this one 97-93. Earlier this afternoon on Television Wisconsin, it brought us what is becoming a rivalry matchup out on the ice between Wisconsin and Ohio State. The two teams that saw each other just last year in the national championship had a rematch today out on the ice, fighting for the WCHA Final Face-Off Championship. The two top-ranked teams in all of women's college hockey fought it out for the final seconds. There would be no goals scored through 50 minutes, so we find ourselves in the third period. Kelly Gorbatenko looking for Captain Lacey Eden in front of the net. net, who one times it in and gets the first point of the game just on the board like that. A few short minutes later, the Buckeyes, out shooting the Badgers by more than 10 shots, finally find the twine, getting the puck past Ava McNaughton, who has been incredible all year. But ultimately, a fluke goal with the time winding down would cost Bucky a shot at 3 straight conference championships. The Buckeyes take the hardware home this time around, winning 2-1. The Bucks have lost 4 in a row, but tonight they look to end that drought on television. Wisconsin starting at 7 p.m. Giannis and Milwaukee look to take down the Utah Jazz. Full highlights tonight on News 3 Now at 10. Plus, later tonight on CBS, UFC 326, Max Holloway fighting Charles Oliveira during tonight's main card event. Make sure to tune in.
I mean, what a day on our network. You had WCHA, you had the Badgers upsetting the Boilermakers, and then you have 2 choices starting at 7 with the Bucks and UFC. First time on CBS, so happy that all that programming you can catch right here on our network. Real quick, Blaze, what do we have?
Warm and sunny and breezy conditions through Monday. Then a rain-snow mix starting Wednesday.
All right, we'll see you back here tonight after the Bucks and UFC.